Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Are there any announcements that need to be made? Mr. Cecil advised me that the clerk's office has said that they don't want anyone in the hallways outside the 341 room because of potentially a fire hazard. So, today we have Ken Frey coming to speak about personal property appraisals. I think most of the debtors' attorneys have utilized him. His values are great. I use them all the time. So, without further ado.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I guess the first questions you have is, what is a personal property appraiser, or what is an automobile appraiser? Well, what we've started out with is the certifications. You can be a CAGA member, which gives you the certification as a personal property appraiser, but how you earn that is first becoming an auctioneer. And the auctioneers are considered the premium appraisers because they get to see and evaluate just about everything that's out there. And I've been an appraiser for 18, 19 years. I've been a CAGA member for about the same amount of time. I'm also a licensed real estate salesperson, and I've worked on Sanibel since 1992, and it's been a fabulous career out there, and I certainly enjoy every moment of it, and we're still very active out there. And I have held an automobile dealer's license since I was 19 years old, and I still have that license in effect in Florida. So my background is extensively automotive, and it's an interesting thing. In 1992, one of the trustees found out what I had done in my past life was liquidating cars for the major banks. Chase Manhattan Manufacturers Hanover. I did Pfizer pharmaceutical cars around the country. And she asked me whether I would come and do a few cars, and I said, sure. I'm semi-retired at that point, so I said, I'd be happy to do that. So that's how the appraisal business started in Fort Myers for me. And I continued it, never let it go. And I'd say in the heyday, there were a ton of business, over 1,000 cars in 1 year. And that's plenty of bankruptcy, okay? But getting back to how do you do an appraisal? Well, if the object can be brought in front of you, or you can actually touch it, feel it, and scratch it, that is really what you want to do as an appraiser. Because pictures only tell so many stories, and then it's up to you to decide. And I have a regular routine when a person brings in a vehicle. I start and I do a complete circle. We walk around the car 2 or 3 different times. And the things we look for is headliners, carpeting tears, car in an accident, okay? And we're going to talk about that a little later. The diminished value of a vehicle, all right, once it's had a repair. And that seems to be the up-and-coming thing. I've written probably 25, 30 diminished claims. And you'll be amazed at the response that the insurance companies actually did. I had one claim where there was an $18,000 check written by the insurance company for diminished value, okay? So it's not a small thing anymore, and they expect it. Years ago, people would have an accident, just walk away. But that car has suffered. It's suffered devaluation beyond your comprehension. Now with Carfax and things like that, you can't trade that car in, all right? If you tried to trade it in at a new car dealer, he'd look at you and say, I don't want the car, all right? And if he does take the car, he takes the car in for such a low amount that you almost should keep it, all right? But that's where we are with the appraisal business. Once a car gets damaged like that, I might as well complete that, is the car will go to the auction, all right? Once the car gets to the auction, who's there? They're second and third level buyers, okay? Who will take a chance, buy the car, and try to resell it. Those cars also have a tough time, if it's a late model car, with getting any kind of warranty. Once a car has had a major collision, the companies try to beg off of doing any further repairs or warranty work. So all of this comes into the equation when I look and appraise a vehicle. And I'm constantly adjusting my values as I look at the car, right? And people say, how can a car that's in the book for $5,500 NADA retail, okay, how can a car be worth $1,700? Well, this is where it comes. what would you pay for it if I had two identical cars side by side, one that was perfect and one that had major collision damage and fixed properly, but which one would you buy? I know you wouldn't even look at that car with the collision damage, right? Unless the price was into your likings, all right? If you could save half of the amount of the car, you may look at it and say, I'll take my chances. But in most cases, that's not it. But getting back, we always, in the bankruptcy courts, when I do my appraisals, we're looking for a retail number on the car. It's not a fair market value, it's not an active ABC, it's just what that car is going to be worth on a retail lot in the present condition that it's in. And that's where the depreciation comes in. I also use that depreciation value in my appraisals, and you've seen it there. Just a second. The courts use NADA. I know a lot of times when the folks come in, they say, well, it's in Kelly Blue Book, or it's in Gray Book, it's in Black Book. The only one that they use is NADA. So if you're going to advise or talk to your clients, there's a spot that's NADA cars/com that is a free site. I don't know whether any of you go there or have NADA in your office, but it's actually a free site, and you can pick up all of the information without having to pay a fee, because normally they charge $300 or $400 a year to access their NADA numbers. So that'll be a hint, and I will send it out to you. As I said, its replacement value is what we're looking for as far as the cars go. Another thing is, I don't know how much it's involved with you, but the serial number is the heart of every single car. The first number tells the region where it was manufactured, whether it was China, United States, wherever it was, and the country. Type of car is the third number. The position 4 through 8 are going to be the model, the level of trim, diesel, gas, electric. It's all going to be coded in those numbers, okay? Which is a big help, especially if you're trying to figure out whether it's a premier model or whether it's a EX model or whether it's an E model. It just gives you that extra up, so you know what you're dealing with. And the pricing is considerably different in the different categories. Number 9 in the serial number is nothing. It's a digit, just so that you know that where the departation is on it. And the positions 11 or 13 through 17 are the manufacturer's unique numbers. That's for the serial number. And that's when somebody asks you for the last 6 of the car, that is the number that coincides with the vehicle. Touched on that. When you see the NADA, we have clean, trade-in, rough, okay, and there's such a variance in the pricing. How can that be? Well, it is because most cars, only 7% are clean. 53% of them are average, and then the rest are considered rough. And the cars that we see, if they're late model, they're either leased or they're heavily financed. Every once in a while, a person will show up with a car that their aunt bought them, and they put it in their name. And that's a problem, because they now owe the value of the car because their aunt loaned them the money and didn't perfect the loan. All right, that's a bad situation. But again, the cars that generally people are driving are from 2007 to 2000, and those cars are well used, and they're not well looked after. Okay, so it really does pay all of you to have the cars inspected. As I said, I've been doing it for a number of years and thoroughly enjoy it. I do Saturday and Sunday morning appraisals, okay, because people work, and I try to make it as convenient as possible. I do travel. I generally save that to Sunday. I'll go to Naples for $40 if it's down in Immokalee, and I'll go to Port Charlotte for about the same amount of money. Right? And that's in addition to the $60. And it's one charge, it's not per car. Okay. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask me?
file up the video and do it?
I will, yeah, what I'll do is I'll post it and I'll send it over. You can put in the serial number, and this is another thing too, you can actually put in the serial number of your car or a license plate number, and it will print the original window sticker for the car. So you have no question about your options, right? Many times you look at a car and you say, oh my gosh, did that have a sunroof? Well, you can go back and you can pump this, just the license plate number, and it will produce the window sticker, which is amazing. And the computer has changed the entire realm of appraising. I meant to mention that. Years ago, when somebody had a collectible, you didn't know whether that was the only one or whether there were 30 or 40 of them. Today you can go online, and it's made this job completely different. And what was valuable or considered valuable at one point because of the rarity, now they're out there in droves, okay? So it has changed the whole philosophy. Again, if you have any questions, I'm always available.
How does the Takata airbag situation affect you?
You know, that's a good situation there. It's the dealers, like a BMW dealer, if he takes in one with that bag in it, he's not going to sell that car until that bag is replaced. The liability there has gone out of control. And so you've got dealers now sitting on BMWs, okay, and all the rest of the cars that are affected, and they're afraid to sell them, okay? And very rarely now will you get one, a dealer to take one in on trade. They'll say, park it until we fix it. Yeah. Well, you can imagine how much money would you have tied up if you took them in on trade, okay? Millions of dollars in no time. And then what do you do with them if you can't get the airbag?
Is there any way to identify it if they have that particular airbag?
Yeah, the dealer is the one you have to reference, okay? So if you have a serial number, if you call the parts department, they will absolutely tell you whether it's part of that inlay there. But super, super big problem. And you know, look at the liability. Suppose you got hurt in that car.
What are we looking for in boats too, in my campers also, when people come in? I think you do boats and
I
campers
do boats.
too,
I do basically everything but fine art, okay? And jewelry. I don't do that. But again, I belong to that guild. There are 10,000 members. They're broken out by their expertise. If I have to have somebody come in, I just send them a photo. They can give me a rough idea of what they've seen, and then, if necessary, they will actually come in and look at whatever you had, or we send it to them. So that's the nice part about being in a guild. And it is the largest guild in the country, and there's experts in everything. But I do tractors, I'll do heavy equipment, I'll do values of material. I did a motorcycle shop the other day, and you know, all his antiques. He's got a reverse gear, which means nothing to anybody, for a three-wheel Harley. Well, we tried to find one, but he had a complete set and it was in a bucket, and I happened to know what it was, and I asked him, I said, what do you think that's worth? Oh, you know, they give you the dance. And I said, yeah, I know what it's worth, okay? And so that's experience. There's nothing to replace that, especially with an appraiser, as far as I'm concerned. Anything else?
Have you had any challenges in court doing your appraisals?
You know, the only challenge I had was many years ago with Judge Pesquet, and it was over a carpet company down in Naples, and we argued over the cost of the displays. The displays are given to you by the carpet manufacturers. So in essence, I said there's no value because, number one, they were dated, okay? If I opened up a carpet shop, they would donate and give me all brand new supplies as well as samples, okay? And that's the only challenge that I have ever had, but I remember that. You know, so that's how long ago. Any other questions? Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
If you ever need a question, and also, I put this out there, anybody in your offices that needs to have an appraisal, I do those pro bono. Okay, so if that helps with anyone that you've got working for you, I'm happy to do that for you. And I'm always interested in the sob story, so.
Well, I have a question. How do they come up with the difference between like the Black Book and Kelly Blue Book and the NADA?
Okay, what they use today in all the dealerships is they do Mannheim reports. That gives you the most accurate sales reporting. NADA compiles it from the dealers as well as auctions. And their numbers, to be honest with you, that 7% of the top clean, I've never been able to sell a car for anywhere close to that. Okay, it had to be grandmother's car with 1,000 miles on it. But other than that, I have not been able to do it. You know, the business is tough enough, and then try to have a car that you think is worth thousands and thousands of dollars more than the normal car. And so you have to find the exception. Black Book, Gray Book, NADA, Kelly Blue Book. You could look up the same car in any of those books and you'd come up with 5 different numbers, all right? And there's no way to compensate it. But again, after looking at so many cars and liquidating so many cars in my life, they start to talk to you. They really do. I don't have to get more than about 15 feet to the car, and I've got a pretty good idea of what I'm going to be looking at. The cars speak for themselves. And again, most of the cars are older cars, 2007, 6, 5, and what do you expect? And the people use them. So, you know, I did a Toyota pickup truck. The car had 142,000 miles on it, and it was a 99, but there was nothing left of the truck. The sides, the front of the cab was hit, the front bumper. What is that car worth? All right? Anything that rolls is worth $400. Okay, but that's about where that goes.
At least scrap it's worth.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. And you know, there are cars, the people desperately need them. You know, no one said I'm going to volunteer. And when I said, after I've given a price and they call me and they say, oh, that's awful high, I said, would you take that for it? Because I'll find somebody who'll buy it from you for that amount of money. And, oh no, we don't want to do that. But it's a typical reaction. Anything else? Well, it was a pleasure meeting you and seeing you all again. Jeff and the rest of them, I haven't seen each other in a few years, I would say probably 20. But it's been fun to come, and if I can help you with anything, I've left some cards in the back. Please feel free to pick them up, and I'm happy to do it for you. Thank you so much.
What is it? I don't think so.
I guess I'll adjourn the meeting unless there's any further, anybody else wants to talk about anything.
The updates.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right.